of Uttarakhand and Patent Honorable Justice Shri Manoj Kumar Tiwari ji, Senior Judge, Honorable High Court of Uttarakhand. Honorable Justice Shri Ravindra Mehthani ji, Judge in Charge Education. Honorable Justice Shri Alok Mehra ji, Honorable Justice Shri Subhash Upadhyay ji, Respected Shri Honorable Justice Shri Siddharth Saha ji, Respected Shri Pradeep Pant sir, Director UJALA. Respected Shri Yogesh Kumar Gupta sir, Registrar General, Honorable High Court of Uttarakhand, Registrar and Officers of the Honorable High Court. Respected Shri A.P. Anshuman, Additional Director General of Police. Esteemed faculty members of UJALA, all the respected resource persons, members of the Child Welfare Committee, NGOs, media persons, and all the learned participants. A very good morning and warm welcome. I request respected Shri Nitin Sharma sir, District and Session Judge T.D. Garwal, to welcome Honorable Justice Shri Manoj Kumar Tiwari ji by presenting a salute. I request respected Shri Yogesh Kumar Gupta sir, Registrar General, Honorable High Court of Uttarakhand, to welcome Honorable Justice Shri Ravindra Mehthani ji by presenting a salute. I request respected Shri Shrikant Pandey sir, District and Session Judge Almora, to welcome Honorable Justice Shri Alok Mehra ji by presenting a salute. I request respected Guru Raj Singh sir, District and Session Judge Uttarkashi, to welcome Honorable Justice Shri Subhash Upadhyay ji by presenting a salute. I request respected Dharam Singh sir, District and Session Judge Bhowali Nainital, to welcome Honorable Justice Siddharth Saha ji by presenting a salute. Now I humbly request my Lord, Honorable the Chief Justice, Honorable Justice Shri Manoj Kumar Tiwari ji, and Honorable Justice Shri Ravindra Mehthani ji to please adorn the dais. I request respected Director sir to assist the dignitaries.
Hello.
Lighting the lamp is a symbolic movement that signifies the dispelling of darkness and igniting of thoughts and enlightenment. Let us make this morning blessed by lighting the lamp of knowledge and wisdom. Now I humbly request Honorable the Chief Justice to inaugurate the Judicial Colloquium by lighting the lamp. I respectfully request Honorable Judges of the Honorable High Court, respected Director Sir, and respected Additional Director General of Police to join.
Kuruvam kalyanam arogyam dhanasampadah Shubham kuruvam kalyanam arogyam dhanasampadah Shatrubuddhi vinashaya Deepajyotir namostute Deepajyotir namostute Shubham kuruvam kalyanam arogyam dhanasampadah Shubham kuruvam kalyanam arogyam dhanasampadah
I extend my deep gratitude to all the honorable dignitaries for leading this auspicious beginning by lighting the lamp. Now I humbly request respected Shri Pradeep Pansar, Director UJALA, to kindly deliver the welcome address.
A very good morning to all the honorable dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pride and privilege to extend a warm and cordial welcome at this Judicial Colloquium on Human Trafficking. On behalf of Uttarakhand Judicial and Legal Academy, I express my respectful welcome to my Lord Honorable Mr. Justice Manoj Kumar Gupta, Chief Justice, High Court of Uttarakhand, and Patron-in-Chief UJALA for accepting the invitation of the Academy despite His Lordship's very busy schedule. My Lord has spared his precious time for today's colloquium, and the very presence of my Lord has greatly enhanced the stature of this program. We are also blessed by the presence of Honorable Mr. Justice Manoj Kumar Tiwari ji, Senior Judge, High Court of Uttarakhand. My Lord, we offer our most humble regards and respectfully welcome you, Your Lordship, to this colloquium. It's a matter of great pride for us that Honorable Mr. Justice Ravin Maithani ji, Judge in Charge Education, is also amongst us. I respectfully welcome Your Lordship and place on record our sincere gratitude for Your Lordship's continuing blessings and guidance. This Academy also feels honored by the gracious presence of Honorable Mr. Justice Shri Alok Kumar Mehra ji, Honorable Shri Justice Shri Subhash Upadhyay ji, Honorable Mr. Justice Shri Siddharth Shah ji. I extend Your Lordship our greatest and deepest regards and warm welcome in this colloquium. I extend my cordial welcome to Director of Prosecution and Additional Director General of Police, Registrar General, Member Secretary, Registrars and Officers of the Honorable High Court, faculty members UJALA, District Judge Nainital, resource persons, representatives of the NGOs. It is an honor to welcome you all in this Judicial Colloquium on Human Trafficking. Today we gather not merely as experts, thinkers and activists, but as a collective force against one of the humanity's darkest crime. Human trafficking is a modern day form of slavery which enslaves millions across the globe, stripping victims of their dignity, freedom and fundamental human rights. The UNODC Global Report on Trafficking in Persons 2024 reveals that in the year 2022, a total number of 74,785 victims were identified worldwide. The report also highlights a sharp global rise of 25% in 2022 compared to pre-pandemic level of 2019 in the number of victims detected. These figures must be understood with the awareness that human trafficking is significantly underreported crime and real number may likely far higher. Human trafficking thrives in silence and is fueled by the globalization, conflict, poverty and inequality. In India, it manifests in several forms including forced labor, sex trafficking, child exploitation in the form of child begging, forced marriages and organ trafficking networks. This colloquium seeks to address this grave crisis through dialogue and deliberations, focusing on identifying the problem, exploring possible remedies, empowering survivors, strengthening rehabilitation mechanisms, and discussing the way forward. Uttarakhand, owing to its hilly terrain, remote villages, and migration of people for employment, is vulnerable to human trafficking. Women and children are often trafficked for domestic work, forced labor, and sexual exploitation. Poverty, lack of education, and natural disasters further increases this vulnerability. It makes strict law enforcement and sustained awareness program essential in the state. At this point, it is important to remember the timeless word of Swami Vivekananda, and I quote, "The best thermometer to the progress of a nation is its treatment to its women." Unquote. These words remind us that the true measure of our civilization is not merely economic progress or technological advancement, but how we protect the dignity, safety, and freedom of women and children. If our society fails to safeguard them from exploitation, such as trafficking, then the very foundation of justice and humanity stand weakened. India has established a comprehensive legal framework to combat trafficking. Laws such as Immoral Traffic Prevention Act, Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, Prohibition Act, Child and Adolescent Labor Prohibition and Regulation Act 86, and the POCSO Act provides the necessary legal tools to address this crime. However, the challenges often lies in the effective implementation, which requires coordination amongst multiple agencies. Legal services institutions such as District Legal Services Authority plays an important role by providing free legal aid, thereby bridging the gap for victims who are often illiterate, poor and socially marginalized. NGOs such as Association for Voluntary Action and Anti-Slavery International also exemplify grassroots commitment by rescuing victims, providing shelters, counseling, and skill development training, and supporting them in rebuilding their life. With the rapid expansion of the internet and digital platforms, new challenges has emerged. Traffickers increasingly exploit dark web, online advertisement, and fake social media profiles to lure unsuspecting victims. At the same time, technology can also serve as a powerful tool to counter trafficking. AI-driven tools can analyze suspicious online advertisements to detect trafficking. Facial recognition system can help identify victims, and initiatives such as India Khoya Payo portal help reunite missing children with their families. Our colloquium will therefore also explore the ethical and responsible use of technology, encouraging collaboration between governments, law enforcement agencies, developers and civil society organizations to combat human trafficking. These reflections also remind us of the remarkable resilience of survivors of human trafficking, many of whom rise above unimaginable adversity with extraordinary courage. A survivor once expressed his spirit in following line, and I quote, I am resilient like a palm tree that withstands the storm, struggling, but will strive until I reach my goal. I will scream until I am heard. I will laugh until they listen. I say no and you respect it. Are you ready for our strength? Unquote. Though coordinated efforts and sustained commitment, we can protect our children, our brothers and sisters from the clutches of human trafficking, not a distant aspiration, but as a realistic and achievable goal. Before I conclude, I would like to recall a beautiful couplet of Sarasar Sailani, which reminds us that the beauty of the world lies in the harmony and coexistence. कहा है चमन में इख्तिलाए रंग व बू से बात बनती है, चमन में इख्तिलाए रंग व बू से बात बनती है, हम ही हम हैं तो क्या हम हैं, तुम ही हो तुम हो तो क्या तुम हो. Indeed, the world becomes meaningful only when every life is respected and protected, when women and children live without fear and with dignity, the garden of humanity truly blossoms. I once again welcome you all in this program. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir, for your welcoming words. We feel deeply honored by the benevolent presence of Honorable Justice Sri Ravindra Maithani ji, Judge Honorable High Court of Uttarakhand, and Patron-in-Chief UJALA. I consider it my honor to most humbly request Honorable Justice Sri Ravindra Maithani ji to guide us by his words of wisdom.
Namaskar. Honorable the Chief Justice, High Court of Uttarakhand, Sri Manoj Kumar Gupta. My esteemed Honorable Mr. Justice, my esteemed brother, Honorable Mr. Justice Manoj Kumar Gupta, esteemed colleague judges, Justice Alok Mehra, Justice Subhas Upadhyay, Justice Siddharth Shah, respected Director UJALA, Registrar General, Member Secretary SLSA, District Judges, many of whom are present in the second row, another Judicial Officers, Mr. Ansuman, ADGP Uttarakhand, Director Prosecutions, other Officers of Administration and Police Department, esteemed speakers, Madam Behora and others, participants from other organizations, NGOs, ladies and gentlemen. This room has witnessed many such events, which in fact I can say with responsibility have changed lives of many in the state of Uttarakhand. We have had many conferences here on juvenile justice. We documented it. We laid down some action plans. We followed them in coordination with police and other stakeholders, and we had results. Therefore, I call these events, and when we begin with it, memorable events. This is another memorable event in the annals of Uttarakhand Judicial and Legal Academy. The sky is clear. The colloquium, which begins today, will definitely bring an opportunity to the experts to express views on an important and very contemporary issue. This morning in the slopy hills of Uttarakhand in UJALA, there is an year of resilience. Definitely a beginning will be made so that collectively those areas may be identified which may arbitrate the meanness and curse of human trafficking, may bring light to many such souls who are forgotten and are living in misery. Needless to say, human trafficking continues to remain one of the most serious challenges confronting the modern legal system and societies across the globe. I am really privileged to be part of this colloquium. Before I begin from here, as a person associated deeply with this academy, I really extend a very cordial welcome to Honorable Chief Justice, who is here for the first time, who has really spared his valuable time. I am really grateful to Justice Tiwari, the senior be judges, Justice Mehra, Justice Upadhyay, and Justice Siddharth. We know that judges during weekends have to sit in their offices to complete many of their tasks, but they have been much kind to us. Thank you, thank you, judges. And really, a very warm welcome to all the speakers, participants, and judges and other officers. Before I speak of laws and conventions, it is important to remember what trafficking actually looks like in a simple human terms. A child leaves a village believing she is traveling for a walk in a city. A family believes she has found an opportunity for a better life. Weeks later, the family realizes that she has disappeared into the network of exploitation from which return is uncertain. That is reality behind the term human trafficking. The roots of trafficking can be traced back to any ancient systems of slavery. Some of them call that Devdashi, Jogini, and many other customary were also a kind of trafficking or exploitation. During wars, individuals were captured and sold as laborers or servants. I could not resist to avoid quoting one of the most significant manifestations of organized trafficking that was done and known as transatlantic slave trade, when 10 to 12 millions of Africans were forcibly transported to the Americas for plantation labor and other exploited work. The misery and those documentations really could shake the hearts and conscience of anyone who has little sense of responsiveness. In 2006, the United Nations General Assembly recognized that slave trade and slavery are among the worst violations of human rights in the history of humanity. 25th March has been recognized by the United Nations as an annual International Day of Remembrance of the victims of slavery and transatlantic slave trade. In India, during the colonial period, trafficking-like practices appeared in the Indian indentured labor system. Large numbers of Indians were transported to overseas colonies and forced to work under harsh and exploitative conditions. It was also named as neo-slavery. By the early 20th century, trafficking had begun to assume new forms. The social and economical upheavals caused by the wars left many women vulnerable. Several women fleeing hunger and displacement became easy targets for traffickers. Many were transported across the region for sexual exploitations as concubines and prostitutes. A phenomenon, a part of which was also known as white slave trade. Who among us does not know the Boko Haram and other kind of slavery which the women are suffering in many parts of this world today? In India as well, women are particularly vulnerable during the period of surrounding the partition. Women from different communities were abducted, assaulted, and exploited as an instrument of communal vengeance. They were treated as trophies of violence intended to humiliate rival communities and divorced families. Over time, these exploitative practices developed into the highly organized criminal networks. In the present era, the trafficking is no longer confined to physical movements alone. It now includes cyber-enabled recruitment, online grooming, digital networks used to lure victims through false promises of employment, marriage, or for a better life. The persistence of trafficking is closely linked to the structural inequalities. Poverty, unemployment, lack of education, gender discrimination, and forced migration create conditions where vulnerable individuals become easy targets for traffickers. The misuse of digital platforms and social media has further expanded the reach of these criminal networks. The consequences of trafficking extend far beyond the act of exploitation itself. Dr. UJALA, Mr. Pant has just read a few lines, the cry of those victims. Survivors often carry deep psychological trauma. Even when they are rescued, many find it difficult to return to normal life. Social stigma, fear of rejection, and lack of support frequently push victims back into the same exploitative environments from where they were rescued. Human trafficking is therefore not merely a crime against an individual. It is a grave violation of human dignity and freedom. It directly infringes fundamental rights recognized under international human rights law, including the prohibition of slavery and forced labor, the right of personal liberty and protection from cruel, inhuman, and degrading treatment. International instruments such as Universal Declaration of Human Rights, International Covenants of Civil and Political Rights, the Convention on Rights of Child, and many other such conventions recognize that trafficking undermines the inherent dignity of every human being. These instruments place a near obligation, a clear obligation upon states to prevent exploitation and to ensure protection and rehabilitation of victims. The international community has responded to this challenge through several legal frameworks. The most important internationally accepted is the Protocol of Prevent, Suppress, and Punish Trafficking in Persons, commonly known as. It also establishes a framework centered on prevention, protection of victims, and prosecution of offenders. India has ratified it in the year 2011. India has also ratified the Convention of Rights of Child. In the regional level, we are also part of the signatory to the SAR Convention on Preventing and Combating Trafficking Women and Children for Prostitution. Within our constitutional framework, Article 23 and 24, who does not know, prohibits these trafficking and related offences. And there are many other statutes like Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, the new sections 143 and 144, and many other acts like Immoral Traffic Prevention Act, Juvenile Justice Care and Protection Act, POCSO, Prohibition of Child Marriage Act, the Transplantation of Human Organs and Tissues Act. They are enacted in the direction so as to prevent this kind of trafficking. The judiciary has also played a very important role. The higher courts have responded to the needs of the society and guided the courts throughout the country as to how to deal with these matters. In many cases, I don't want to quote those cases, but the Supreme Court has observed that trials in trafficking cases should ideally be completed within 6 months. The court has also recognized that trafficked children must be treated as injured witnesses rather than accomplices. It has further cautioned that victims may not always narrate events with precision and that the absence of immediate protest cannot automatically discredit their testimony. For the judiciary, trafficking cases present a particularly difficult reality. The courtroom becomes the place where the law meets the trauma of living human experience. Judges are often required to balance procedural safeguards with the need to ensure that vulnerable victims receive justice. In Uttarakhand, we have a, what it says, if somebody would speak in some session perhaps, Punarmilan, Mission Punarmilan, to identify vulnerable children, trace missing persons, and prevent trafficking. May this be further strengthened to be made applicable in the entire state of Uttarakhand. I am told that President is working in all these 7 districts. In fact, in the year 2025, we had a very strange recovery case of trafficked children from Nepal. 32 children from boys and girls from Nepal. They were kept in captivity in a district, Rudrapur. One of those trafficked children, he could escape and inform the authorities. With the help of Nepal Embassy and one organization that is called NGO Kin India, they were rescued and sent to their respective places. Some numbers were referred by Director UJALA in his initial address. According to Global Report on Trafficking, this detection of trafficking victims globally increased by 25% in 2022 compared to 2019. And when compared to 2022, it rose to 43%. In India also, the National Crime Records Bureau in Crime India Report 2023 records 2183 IPC cases relating to trafficking, and Uttarakhand contributed 21 cases to that. This situation reminds us that trafficking is not a distant global issue. It exists within our own communities and jurisdictions. This brings us to an important reflection for all of us present here today. If a teacher notices that a child has suddenly stopped attending the school, if a neighbor becomes aware of suspicious recruitment promises, or if a panchayat learns that young girls are being sent away for unknown work, that single moments of vigilance can prevent trafficking before it begins. A very sensitive judiciary is must in such matters. For the judiciary, trafficking cases demand a sensitive and vigilant approach. Courts must ensure that proceedings remain victim-centric, particularly when the victims are children. Prolonged trials and insensitive questioning can lead to secondary victimization. For the police, the emphasis must increasingly shift towards proactive detections. There are multiple tools today, face recognition and other kind of tools which could help in this direction. Missing person reports, if taken seriously, unexplained migration patterns, and suspicious recruitment activities should be treated as early warning signals. Civil society organizations may also play a critical role. In many cases, victims are first identified by teachers, social workers, or community volunteers rather than by state institutions. NGO often provide the first safe space where the victims feel secure enough to speak, as we have witnessed it in the Kasipur Udham Singh case. One very important aspect is with regard to the information. Public access to the anti-human trafficking units which are established across the country. In Uttarakhand, for example, information about district-wise functioning of these units and contact details of officers is not easily accessible. In fact, I tried to go through the website of Uttarakhand Police. There are many captions, EFIR, But I did not find anyone. If I see some suspicious activity, how to log in conveniently, may today's deliberation would prompt the police authority to have a tab on it that the human trafficking report and somebody could want to name or not name some recruiting agencies being open. Perhaps this would also help to find some ways and means to detect and prevent these trafficking cases. Ultimately, prevention begins at the community level. When families, schools, panchayat and local leaders understand the methods used by the traffickers, the space within which traffickers operate begins to shrink. Training of police officers, prosecutors, judicial officers, and child protection authorities is equally essential to ensure a victim-centric and trauma-informed approach. Finally, rescue alone cannot be considered the end of the process. Rehabilitation must follow. Survivors require counseling, education, skill development, and sustainable livelihood opportunities so that they are not forced back into the cycle of exploitation. I believe that in next 2 days we will discuss on those aspects and may have some kind of recommendations, some action plan which may be followed by the authorities, maybe by judiciary, by the police and other stakeholder prosecutions as well. The fight against trafficking ultimately requires more than laws and institutions. It required a shared moral commitment, which we blessed today to have. When every stakeholder in the justice system stands united in that commitment, we move closer to a society where exploitation finds no refuge and where every individual can live with dignity and freedom. I am confident that this colloquium will yield desired results and help us to prevent human trafficking and rescue and rehabilitate the trafficked persons. I really wish the colloquium a big success. Once again, I extend a warm welcome and express my sense of gratitude to the honorable judges and all the guests, participants who are here. Ano Bhadra Kratavu Yant Vishata, we are near Guru Devta's temple. Let the noble thought come from every side so that our moral and shared commitment may thrive and prevent this meanness and curse of human trafficking. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, my Lord, for the profound insights that have enriched and guided us all. The words of wisdom of His Lordship have been a guiding light to us all and have added to the grandeur of this colloquium. We are also blessed by the gracious presence of Honorable Justice Shri Manoj Kumar Tiwari ji, Senior Judge Honorable High Court of Uttarakhand. I consider it my honor to most humbly request Honorable Justice Shri Manoj Kumar Tiwari ji to guide us by his words of wisdom.
Honorable the Chief Justice, esteemed brother judges, respected dignitaries, distinguished speakers, and dear participants, a very good morning to all. It is indeed a privilege to address this distinguished gathering at the inauguration of this Judicial Colloquium on Human Trafficking. I extend a warm welcome to all participants who have come together to deliberate on an issue that deeply challenges the conscience of our society. Human trafficking is not merely a criminal offense. It is a serious violation of human dignity, liberty, and basic human rights. Behind every trafficking case lies a painful story of exploitation, deception, coercion, and broken dreams. Victims are often among the most vulnerable members of society, particularly women and children, whose circumstances are exploited by organized criminal networks. Our Constitution of India speaks with clarity on this issue. Article 23 explicitly prohibits trafficking in human beings and forced labor, reflecting the firm resolve of our constitutional framework to eliminate such inhuman practices. Article 14 and 21 further reinforce the principles of equality before the law and the right to live with dignity. As the renowned civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." These words remind us that exploitation of even a single individual weakens the foundations of justice and humanity itself. The judiciary, therefore, has a crucial responsibility in addressing the issue of human trafficking. Courts are not merely institutions of adjudication. They are also guardians of constitutional values and protectors of the vulnerable. Ensuring that victims receive justice, protection, and rehabilitation is an essential component of our commitment to the rule of law. In the context of Uttarakhand, certain geographical and socio-economic factors make vigilance particularly important. Border districts such as Pithoragarh and Champawat, owing to their proximity to the international border with Nepal, require special attention. At the same time, districts like Udham Singh Nagar and Haridwar, which witness significant industrial and labor migration, may sometimes become transit or destination points for trafficking networks. Urban centers such as Dehradun also require continued vigilance because of connectivity and migration patterns. At the same time, our state also possesses strong institutional mechanisms, committed law enforcement agencies, active civil society organizations, and legal service institutions, which together can play a crucial role in combating trafficking and ensuring support for survivors. As Mother Teresa reminded us, human rights are not a privilege conferred by government. They are every human being's entitlement by virtue of his humanity. The anguish and injustice faced by exploited women has been powerfully expressed by the celebrated poet Sahir Ludhianvi, which words continue to resonate even today. मदद चाहती है हवा की बेटी, यशोदा की हमजिन्स राधा की बेटी, पैगंबर की उम्मत जुलेखा की बेटी, सना ख्वा ए तकदीस ए मशरिक कहाँ है, जरा मुल्क के रहबरों को बुलाओ, ये कूचे ये गलियां ये मंजर दिखाओ, सना ख्वा ये तकदीस ए मशरिक को लाओ, सना ख्वा ए तकदीस ए मशरिक कहाँ है. I am translating the essence of these lines. The poet highlights the suffering of a woman who, though belonging to the same sacred traditions and cultures that society proudly reveres, is left helpless and exploited. He questions the silence of those who praise the moral purity of society and calls upon leaders to witness the harsh realities of these streets and the injustice faced by such women. These lines remind us that the victims of exploitation are daughters of the very civilization that speaks proudly of morality, dignity, and compassion. Their suffering calls upon society and institutions alike to act with responsibility and sensitivity. Over the course of this colloquium, the sessions will deliberate upon the key challenges in combating trafficking, the need for a change in institutional and societal mindset, the misuse of technology by trafficking networks, and the importance of coordination among the judiciary, police, administration, NGOs, civil society, and legal services institutions. The discussions on the second day will further address important issues such as organ trafficking, trans-border trafficking, smuggling of migrants, and the effective trial of trafficking offences. Such discussions are extremely important because combating trafficking requires a coordinated, multidisciplinary, and humane approach. Before I conclude, I would like to place on record my appreciation to Mr. Pradeep Pant, Director UJALA, for his dedicated efforts in organizing this important colloquium and bringing together such a distinguished gathering of experts and stakeholders. Let me conclude with these inspiring words. Change will not come if we wait for some other person or some other time. We are the ones we have been waiting for. We are the change that we seek. Let us reaffirm our collective commitment to ensure that no victim remains unheard, no injustice remains unaddressed, and the promise of dignity and justice reaches every individual. I wish this colloquium great success and hope that the deliberations here will meaningfully strengthen our collective efforts to eliminate human trafficking. Thank you.
Thank you, my Lord, for the blessings and guidance that will continue to guide us. His Lordship's valuable perspectives have greatly enriched the participants in this colloquium. His Lordship has always been a source of guidance and motivation to the Academy. Indeed, it is a great moment for all of us that our Chief Guest, Honorable the Chief Justice, Honorable High Court of Uttarakhand with us today. I feel honoured and privileged to most humbly request our Chief Guest, Honorable Justice Shri Manoj Kumar Gupta ji, the Chief Justice, Honorable High Court of Uttarakhand, to grace this occasion by His Lordship's words of wisdom.
Distinguished brother judges, Mr. Justice Manoj Kumar Tiwari, Mr. Justice Ravindra Mathani, Mr. Justice Alok Mehra, Mr. Justice Subhash Upadhyay, Mr. Justice Siddharth Shah, Director UJALA Shri Pradeep Panji, Registrar General, Member Secretary, State Legal Services Authority, Director of Prosecution and other officers, members of the press and electronic media, members of the judiciary, representatives of civil society and academicians, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to all of you. I feel greatly privileged to be invited to this award of Goddess Saraswati. Such a divine and beautiful place it is. We have gathered here to deliberate on a very sensitive issue, that is human trafficking. Human trafficking is among the gravest forms of human exploitation. It strips a person of dignity and reduces a human being to a commodity. It thrives upon vulnerability, poverty, displacement, lack of education, and gender inequality. In many cases, those who fall victim of trafficking are the most marginalized members of the society. Definitely they are women, children, and migrant workers. In recent years, traffic has also assumed complex forms. It is no longer confined to visible rackets or traditional networks. Technology has widened its reach. Digital platforms are sometimes misused for recruitment and coordination. Trafficking networks today operate across districts, across states, and often across national borders. Despite these changing forms, the fundamental issue remains the same: a grave violation to human dignity. Our Constitution recognized this danger long ago. Article 23 expressly prohibits trafficking in human beings and forced labor. This prohibition is absolute and reflects the deep commitment of our constitutional framework to the protection of human dignity. The Supreme Court of India has repeatedly emphasized the significance of this constitutional mandate. In People's Union for Democratic Rights versus Union of India, the court held that force under Article 23 is not limited to physical compulsion alone. Economic helplessness can also compel a person into exploitative labor. Poverty itself can become a form of coercion. In Bandhua Mukti Morcha versus Union of India, the court underscored that the state cannot remain passive in the face of such exploitation. There is a positive constitutional obligation to identify victims, release them from bondage, and ensure their rehabilitation. Similarly, in Bachpan Bachao Andolan versus Union of India, the Supreme Court highlighted the need for coordinated institutional response to curb child trafficking and stressed that rescue operations must be accompanied by meaningful rehabilitation. These judgments remind us that the fight against trafficking is not merely a matter of criminal prosecution. It is part of our larger constitutional commitment to protect dignity and ensure social justice. The purpose of this colloquium is, therefore, both timely and significant. It brings together members of the judiciary, law enforcement authorities, civil society organizations, scholars, to reflect upon the challenges involved in combating trafficking and to explore ways of strengthening institutional responses. Such dialogues are important because trafficking often involves complex factual and legal issues ranging from identification of victims, collection of evidence, to ensure victim protection and rehabilitation. Equally important is the need to adopt a victim-centric approach. Brother Justice Mathani rightly said that what matters is that how we as a judiciary, the prosecution, is sensitive towards the cases of human trafficking. Sensitivity in recording testimony, protection from intimidation, expeditious trial, access to rehabilitation mechanisms are essential to ensure that the legal process does not become another ordeal. Another dimension that deserves attention is institutional coordination. Trafficking networks operate across jurisdictions and exploit systemic gaps. Effective cooperation between police, prosecutors, judicial officers, and civil society organizations is therefore indispensable. Capacity building is equally important. Judicial officers dealing with trafficking cases must remain informed about evolving patterns of exploitation, including those facilitated by technology, so that the justice system remains responsive to contemporary challenges. At a broader level, combating trafficking requires a change in societal attitudes. Laws alone cannot eradicate exploitation unless society recognizes that commodification of human beings is fundamentally incompatible with the values of a constitutional democracy. I hope that the deliberation this colloquium will be valuable to all of us. It will provide insights, strengthen institutional cooperation, and contribute to the development of more effective strategies to combat this serious menace. Let this gathering serve as an opportunity to reaffirm our collective commitment to the protection of human dignity and the eradication of exploitation in all its forms. I congratulate my colleague, Mr. Justice Ravind Mathani, under whose guidance this colloquium has been held, Mr. Pradeep Pant, who has worked day and night in organizing and planning out this colloquium, and I am hopeful that it will achieve its purpose. Thank you.
Thank you, my lord, for the kind words. The inspiring words have been like guiding lights, reminding us of the true essence of this event. Your lordship's presence has added candor to today's ceremony. We are highly obliged and much thankful to your lordship. May I now humbly request respected Shri Pradeep Bansal, Director UJALA, to felicitate our Chief Guest, Honorable the Chief Justice, by giving a memento.
कर रहे हैं, इसी को दिखाएंगे। एक एक कैमरा चलेगा, ठीक है। काटो 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 काटो।
May I now humbly request respected Ms. Shada Banu Madam, Additional Director UJALA, to felicitate Honorable Justice Shri Manoj Kumar Tiwari ji by giving a memento.
हमारी बस काट लो।
May I now humbly request respected Chief Tarun Sir, Additional Director UJALA, to felicitate Honorable Justice Shri Ravindra Methani ji by giving a memento. Now I request Ms. Shada Banu Madam, Additional Director UJALA, to propose the vote of thanks.
पब्लिक काटो ना, पब्लिक काटो।
A very good morning to all of you present here. On behalf of the Uttarakhand Judicial and Legal Academy, I feel honored and privileged to get this opportunity to propose a vote of thanks on this special occasion. First and foremost, I would like to express my profound gratitude to Honorable Mr. Justice Manoj Kumar Gupta ji, Chief Justice Honorable High Court of Uttarakhand, for accepting our request and addressing the gathering. We are truly honored, my Lord, to have you with us for this momentous occasion. Your inspiring words have given us a new perspective, motivated us to strive for excellence, and have truly set the foundation for the deliberation that will follow during this Judicial Colloquium. Thank you, my Lord, for gracing the event with your Lordship's benign presence. I extend my deep gratitude towards Honorable Mr. Justice Manoj Kumar Tiwari ji, Senior Judge, High Court of Uttarakhand, for gracing the occasion and for his kind and words of wisdom that radiated a source of energy within us. You have always been a source of inspiration to everyone. Thank you, my Lord, for being with us today. I wish to express my heartfelt thanks to Honorable Mr. Justice Ravindra Methani ji, Judge High Court of Uttarakhand and Judge in Charge Education UJALA, who graced us with his thought-provoking address. Your Lordship's encouragement and able guidance has constantly bolstered all our endeavors, inspire and help us to reach new horizons. We are profoundly grateful for your generous support. Thank you for your esteemed presence, my Lord. We are deeply indebted to Honorable Mr. Justice Alok Mehra ji, Honorable Mr. Justice Subhash Upadhyay ji, and Honorable Mr. Justice Siddharth Shah ji for sparing their invaluable time to grace this occasion with their Lordship's grievous presence. I also wish to express my gratitude to the respected Director UJALA for his unstinted support and guidance at every point of time in the organization of this event. I extend my heartfelt thanks to respected District and Session Judge Nainital to be the part of this event. I take this opportunity to extend our most sincere thanks to the respected Registrar General of the Honorable High Court for his valuable presence. I extend my heartfelt thanks to the Additional Director General of Police and Director of Prosecution to be the part of today's program. I feel proud and honored to spell out words of thanks and share our gratitude to all the resource persons who have beautifully added to the glory of this event. I am very gratified and thankful to all the participants for joining today's colloquium and making this inauguration a resounding success. My heartfelt thanks to the learned Registrar of Honorable High Court and Member Secretary SLSA to be the part of this event. A special thanks to all faculty members of UJALA for their tireless efforts, vision and dedication in making this event a reality. I thank the members of the press and media for immense covering the event. I also thanks to all the distinguished guests from the state government, district administration, police department, women and child welfare department, and everyone present here connected with us through virtual mode. I extend my heartfelt thanks to entire police department for their dedicated efforts in organizing and managing the traffic so efficiently, which ensured a smooth movement for this judicial colloquium. I appreciate the time and efforts taken by all the staff of UJALA for making everything run smoothly. Finally, I leave you this inspiring quote by Martin Luther King: "An individual has not started living until he rises above the confines of his individualistic concern to the broader concern of humanity." Once again, I would like to thank Honorable the Chief Justice and all the honorable judges and all the respected guests present here for making the time to be with us today and helping us with this inaugural event a great success. We look forward to an extremely productive discussion in all the forthcoming technical sessions. Thank you and Jai Hind.
Thank you, respected ma'am. Now I humbly seek the permission of Honorable the Chief Justice to close the inaugural session. Sincerely thanks and profound regards to my lord. Before I invite all the honorable dignitaries for high tea, I request all the participants to assemble outside the auditorium for group photograph. Licensing officers are requested to escort honorable judges to the judges' lounge. After high tea, the first technical session of this judicial colloquium would commence at 11:05 a.m. Thank you and Jai Hind.